What's up, you guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at how and why I budget with Excel. Stay tuned for more. Hey again, I'm Sean from Gym Class Finance. Today we're going to be talking about all things budgeting. If you are new to the channel, we talk about personal finance, more specifically budgeting, investing, and side hustles. If that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That definitely helps this channel out. When it comes to budgeting, budgeting is definitely not the most exciting thing to talk about. If I had to summarize budgeting up in a very short sentence or phrase, it would be spending less than you make and giving every dollar an assignment. Many people say, oh yeah, I budget, but they don't write it down. And so that is the most important thing you can do when you are creating your budget. You need to write it down. And when you do that, you really start to see where all your money is going. Before I get into my budget, there are several ways that you can choose to budget. You can choose to budget with an app. There's Mint, there's EveryDollar, there's other apps out there. You can choose to just use good old-fashioned paper and pencil and write it out. You can use budget trackers. You can go on Etsy. I'm working on creating one that you can just print out and easily fill out and just make copies of each month. You can choose to use Excel. That's what I use because it just makes sense for me. You can use the envelope system where you are using cash and you're putting in money each month in specific envelopes. It's really up to you. You just have to choose what is comfortable for you and what makes the most sense for you. I choose Excel because I'm a nerd and I really like to have it on my computer. I like to take a look at it. I could have it on my phone if I wanted to, but I just like to be able to take a look at it 2 or 3 times a month, plug in my numbers when I need to. I am not interested in, tying my credit cards or anything like that I have to the accounts and having to deal with every time I make a purchase, putting it in. What I basically do is I'm able to look at credit card statements, the cash that I have on hand, and it just makes more sense for me to do it on Excel, but everybody's different, and I'm not here to tell you one way is better than another. I will tell you that if you are interested in my Excel spreadsheet, or if you'd like me to help you configure a spreadsheet that meets your needs, I am always happy to help people out, so you can let me know. I will make it and configure it for you so that it works for your style with budgeting. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let you glance at my budget. Now these figures and things that you see on the screen, they are not my actual numbers. Eventually I'll share those numbers with you. This is just generic, so I just plugged in thousands, hundreds. I tried to keep it as simple as possible, but I'm just plugged in random numbers. Now the budget categories for the most part are the budget categories that I choose. I did get a little specific, or I have a couple things that maybe have a little more private information that I didn't really want to put out on a video. So I did switch that up just a little bit. Like I actually keep my account numbers and I didn't want to really publish those types of things. But there you can kind of see a broad overview. Now I'm going to take some time and go through what I do with my budget on Excel. First, just take a look at this very first part. You see Gym Class Finance monthly budget. And I'm just going to zoom in. Now I'm on an iPad because it's just easier for me to record on the iPad. I do actually use a computer when I am changing my budget and working with my budget, so bear with me as I try to focus in on a couple things. But for the first part of the budget is simply the sources of income. So you're going to take a look at, you see the last month ending balance, and I always don't include my investing in a lot of those numbers. Now you'll see when I look at the net worth tracker that I have included, then yes, I'm going to include those things, and I always like to keep track of those funds. But when I'm looking at my total cash balance, I'm not going to include the investing accounts that account for it. Just gives me a better number. So my sources of income, you always want to start at the top there with the last month balance and what you can see for there, and then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be adding to that. So I'm a teacher, so I put my paycheck here. All right, my wife used to be a teacher. She stays at home now, and we would insert her paycheck right there. Side hustle income, as soon as that comes in, or I go at certain points in the month, I look at my accounts and where I think money has gone in, and I'm going to make sure I can contribute the amount that is supposed to go into the side hustle income. If we earn any interest or miscellaneous income, maybe gift, whatever it might be, then we're going to go ahead and put it in there. That's kind of like all the other items that we might get. The total income for the month then is all going to be totaled, and there's a formula you can see up there, the sum of B5 to B8, and I just created that. And so that basically is tallying up everything between this and this, all those numbers in between. And then you can see that's the total income for the month. That's how much we made that month. But then you add that on top of what's up here, and that's where you get your $11,400, which, like I said, is just a number that we're using. I just made these numbers up. So you take those numbers, and then what I like to do, and I'll show you the whole thing. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. What I do is each time that I add the income, so let's take that $1,000, then I want to make sure that I go down here into my actual budget, spread that out, there you go, and I'm going to insert where I think I need it. So you would, if you want to get that 1,000, you would put 100 in your tithing. This is, like I said, you're going to choose this, but then you'd put the next thing, random act of kindness or generosity fund. You could insert 100 into your emergency or God only knows fund. You maybe have a special sinking fund here. You can insert it right there. Your mortgages and taxes, you can insert another 100. You'd insert it until you got your $1,000. Then you go back up here and you'd look at your next income area, and you had another $1,000 in additional funds. So you once again then would plug in 100, 100, 100, or whatever you want it to be. It can be 250 in some categories. It might be the whole 1,000 in certain categories. You just want whatever that is in this category, the budgeted per month, you want that to always equal what you're from B5 to B9. You want that, or sorry, to B8, but the total then would be right here. You want that to equal 2,000 that you'd see right there. And as you can see, when you go down looking at all these accounts, that does equal 2,000. So that's where you're accounting for everything that you're working with your income. Now, as you can see over here, this accounts from last month. So we're started in January, but the idea is whatever is left over at the end of the month, like say there's $200 left in tithing, when you go to February, it should show from last month there's $200. So that's how I made my template, because I can go to each month and it does a lot of the work. Now that I did the hard work up front by creating those formulas, then it just moves it to the next month and allows you to work with the next number. So I'm going to go back to January. Hope I'm not confusing you. It's my first time doing this. So I'm just, it's a little bit challenging for me to hopefully help you understand. But I'll get more specific in some other videos. But this is just going to be a broad overview of my budget. So then when you have spent money in the month, so maybe it's your credit card bills, maybe it's other bills that are in your savings account or whatever, checking account, wherever you took the money out, you're going to account for it over here in the spent per month. So if you take a look here, you'll see that you may have spent, let's say you spent $100. Now it's going to take me a second to edit it on here, but I would then add, let's just say I spent $100 in tithing. Whoops. Why isn't that working? That's because I'm using a computer and I need to type it in. So I'll go to edit, sorry, messed that up. And we would go to $100, hit return. All right, and now you can see that we budgeted, we added $100, but then we just said we spent $100, so it took it right out of the account. And we are then left with that amount, the $100. So whatever you spend, you go down in through each of your funds and you take it away from each of those funds. All right. Now, if you look down here, then you're going to see the ending balance. And so all those numbers, I'm going to try and zoom out of there for you so you can see it all in one page. Okay. You can see then your totals for each of these are going to be down here on the bottom. Previous month total, the total budgeted per month, the total spent per month, and then this is going to be what you have in cash And as we always say, minus the IRAs, the 529s, any of our investments, we don't want to include that in this number, which is why it'll be a little bit different, because like here's a Roth IRA account. We're not including that in it. The last thing I want to show you, just as a broad overview, is our account balances. So these that you see right here, the account balances, okay, and going up. This is, you don't have to do anything with this once you have your budget created. The only thing that happens is when the numbers down here, okay, are changing and everywhere down here, it's going to automatically change the numbers down here. So this in red, your emergency fund, says 1100. If you go up here, the savings and growth account, okay, it's the same thing. I color coded it. I could just have it say emergency fund because that's what it is, but it's one of my savings accounts at my bank. And so it equals 1100, and it's automatically going to be that equals the sum of E17, and the sum of E17 is right there. So you're not going to be really messing with the account balances that you see up there because everything is related to the numbers down here. All right, it's all going to tie into up there. And that's simply just to provide me an easy way to look at my accounts. And if I zoom into those, I can easily see what is in each of the accounts rather than having to look for it all down here. It's all in one little nice little box that we can see pretty much where all my funds are that we have. So there's a nice basic broad overview. So essentially I take my income here, put the numbers in. I always need to make sure I move my income down here to the budgeted. Anytime I'm spending money, then I'm going to have to throw it in these columns. And that's going to end up leaving me with my total left in my budget, as you can see down here, until we get our grand total. Now, I have several categories. I'll let you kind of take a look at those categories. Expenses, tithing, random act of kindness fund, emergency fund, sinking fund, mortgage, taxes, HOA. I'll make a video more on these categories and why I chose them. Utilities, out to eat, groceries, personal care. You can see child care, car repair, payment insurance, gas, medical tax, miscellaneous. The miscellaneous is essentially when we don't have maybe we had some extra cash and we didn't quite want to put it into a certain category. We'll throw it in there until we're ready to move it to the category we want to if we have a big expense. So it's not an emergency fund. It's just kind of a holding area for some cash. The phone and internet. The miscellaneous might also be for those items like that you maybe pay once a year. It's not a regular monthly payment, so you at least have some cash easily available. Phone, internet, clothes, shoes, gifts, Christmas and birthdays, electronics, business account. Since we do a lot of side hustle stuff, we want to have little funds ready to make purchases if we need to. Fitness club, I don't really do that anymore, but I kept it in there. Home improvement is something a fund I've been really working on because we've been doing a lot of home improvement stuff. Hair, nails, Carolina Fun. All right, so those are kind of the things that my wife has her little fun money. I have my fun money, golf, fantasy, sports. Like I'm currently doing March Madness, so that type of thing. Other entertainment that we like to do. We always try to keep a cash envelope where we can, easily access and go to yard sales if we want to kind of spend our money that way, or whatever it might be, instead of having to swipe a card. Vacation fund and school fund are all part of, as you scroll up here, they're part of this checking and reserve account. All right, so it would all, it's in one account, but I separate it because it's just easier that way. It's in blue though, so we know that's where it goes. We do keep a brokerage account for house, and that's just to kind of save, maybe to make an extra mortgage payment or something like that if it builds up. We do have a brokerage for where we do a little investing for our car, for a future car. Our daughter Caroline has her own savings account. Need to open that one up for Asher. I have not done that for my other child. We have our health savings account that we just kind of keep track of and make sure we're always keeping an eye out. My Roth IRA, because I have one in my name. A 529 for my daughter. Like I said, I want to open one of those up for my son. And then last but not least that you see up there, we have my wife's Roth IRA as well. So that kind of breaks that part down. I know that was a lot. I'm going to stop the video or stop the screen share there, and then just kind of move on to the last part then of our budget. But I'm going to zoom out so you can see it, and we'll go from there. So I really went through that fast, and like I said, this is my first time really trying to kind of just give a broad overview of how we budget. And once again, my wife and I probably talk about our budget. We get together, may it just be while we're sitting and watching TV. We look at our budget together once a month, typically. I am going to be taking a look at the budget. I tend to take a look at it 3 times a month, maybe 4, maybe once a week. Just glance at it, pull it up to make sure we're good, keep it updated a little bit. But I really want you to know that it doesn't have to be complex. You don't have to spend a ton of time doing this. It's just a matter, once you get it started, it's so easy to keep track. And I actually, man, this might not be for everybody, but I actually think that once you start doing this, you actually enjoy it. Because it's you want to know where your money's going, so that you make smart decisions with it, and you're going to have money available when you need to make certain purchases. So now I want to just take a look at our last part, which is the net worth area of our budget. And once again, tracking your net worth, it's not something I want you to spend a ton of time with, but it is kind of nice to keep track of that, because it's going to give you a little bit, as you start to learn about investing, it starts to give you a nice picture, especially if you're not with a financial advisor yet, about where you're going and what you want to accomplish by certain ages. Everybody's completely different. It all depends on your income and your goals in retirement. All right, so now we have open towards the bottom of my Excel budget, we have where it says Sean and Carolina's total net worth. So if you take a look there, you can see the savings, checking savings, Robinhood, our health savings account. And you see that total there. And that's simply, the number is right here. You can see 11,300, and these are just made up numbers, as I've already said. You can see then if I click on that, it equals E50. So it's literally just taking that number. Then you take a look at the next thing, which is our Roth IRA, because you do want to include now your investing when you're talking about what your net worth is. And your net worth, just so you know, is your assets minus your liabilities. So that's what we're looking at. Now we're looking about what we own, what is our property, or whatever you want to call it. Then you look at Carolina's IRA, Roth IRA. So it continues to add. Then we have Caroline's PA 529 or 529 plan for education. My pension from my job I want to keep track of, because that's going to play a vital role in retirement. Carolina has a pension. Even though she doesn't work, she's earned a pension as of now. Not going to be a whole lot until or if she would go back to work. Our cars. So you can include, some people decide to use their like vehicles as part of their net worth. I do include it because, if I have value in a car and I go to trade it in, it's essentially money that I can get the same value for. So I do include it in my net worth. Some people, not everyone does that. I also include our household items. Once again, because if something would happen or I would want to sell my possessions or need to sell possessions that we have, I want to make sure that I know kind of an idea, rough estimate of what those things might be valued at. And then our house equity, all right, it's just saying $125,000 property. You own $65,000 of that. So your total assets then are right there. Then you want to go down to your liabilities, and let's say that you owe $60,000 on your car, or sorry, not your car. You owe $60,000 on your house or your mortgage. All right, so we have $60,000, let's say that, in debt. So you would take then your $177 minus the $60,000 that you have in debt, which would give you your total net worth of $117,300. So the cool thing about all this then is that when you move to February, okay, and I haven't put any numbers in, but when you do that, and these numbers that you see here all change, then it's going to change this number, your total net worth. and you then can track your percentage increase. So let's say my total net worth in February, moving ahead, would be $10,000 more because the stock market did really well. Then it's going to track that right there. And you can kind of add those percentages up at the end of the year, or you could create another a formula so that you can see your total net worth percentage increase throughout the year. But I just looked at the difference in the monthly change, as you can see, and you could then take that from month to month all throughout your spreadsheet, because all the months are there in your spreadsheet. I'll go back to January, but that's kind of what my net worth part of my Excel spreadsheet. And so if you take a look here from a large perspective view, you can see it all together. It almost fits in one page. I tried to keep it as simple as possible. Obviously, some of you might be laughing, simple, because it is a little involved. But once you have your plan, it definitely makes it very easy to go right through and continue to keep track of your budget. So that was a lot. I would absolutely love to hear any feedback that you see as you are maybe checking that out. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe something you just would suggest that I look into. Because I always like to take feedback. This is what works for me. It might not be what works for you, but maybe it is. Maybe you are interested in doing something similar to this. And I would love, I literally love this stuff. So if it's something that you would like, please absolutely reach out to me. I will definitely share this so that you have the formulas. If you even want to tell me how you want it changed a little bit, I can do that for you, and I'll send it to you. I just like to help people out. So if that's something you are interested, I will customize it for you and make it so that it is your own personal Excel budget. If you like this video, please don't forget to smash that like button. It definitely helps me out. It helps this channel out. I really am pushing and hopefully going to get this channel to grow. I just want to help people, and that is the whole goal. So if you don't mind, please do that. We have some more videos coming up on budgeting, investing, side hustles, so make sure you check those videos out. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And remember, it's that simple. I'll talk to you guys later.